Okay. See, I kind of have a new whole, like, an entire new video meta going on with my channel right now, where I just kind of sit here and chat and yap for a good 30 minutes. And I like this content. It's really fun. Today's subject is just gonna be about the casting of Frank Stone. So in the casting of Frank Stone, it's a Until Dawn styled game where every choice you make impacts the story drastically. Unfortunately, I didn't record or stream it because I wasn't in the best mental state, but I did play the game, and Cameron did watch me, and I just sat through the full 6 hours, and I enjoyed every second of it. The free roaming to find the little trinkets around the map were really enjoyable. I really liked the little mini Easter eggs there were with, like, the cosmetics and all that stuff, the little callbacks that were throughout the game, all the Easter eggs, and then the ending of the game. Well, at least for my ending, I know that there's multiple endings, but the ending that I got, I think that it was really cool to see the campfire and this group of characters that I got to know well. So, pretty much, the start of the game, you start off playing as this cop named Sam, and what happens with Sam is he's going through this entire thing, this factory-like thing. I forgot what it was called. Murder Mill, I think. No, that's the name of the movie. Oops. No, but he's going through this thing, and there's been a lot of missing people in the area. And this one guy, I forgot his name. I'm so sorry. It's been a minute since I played the game, but I believe his name was Tom. He has a dog, and he's like, "Hey, officer, you don't need to search this place. I watched this place, and I know nothing bad happened." So then Sam just searches the area anyway, and then he goes down into this little, like, ventilation thing. It's like, "Hey, I need you to go back to my car, call for backup." Tom's like, "Whoa, that's a lot of work." And through my gameplay, I encouraged him and said that I couldn't do it without him. I was like, "Hey man, I can't do this without you. I need your help." And then he went to do it, which was good. So then Sam goes through this, like, little sewage system, ends up in this like, hellish looking area where there's a baby crying in a little cradle, and Frank Stone grabs Sam, pushing him up against a thing, a little spike that was on a wall, kind of like how the person who killed Dean Winchester did to Dean Winchester, but that's besides the point. And Sam gets hooked, so then you give a little quick time event. You have to spam square to get off the hook and save the baby. And that's what I did. I saved the baby, moved on. Augustine wasn't able to, do her perfect ritual thingy-mabobber because we stopped Frank Stone. We shot him, then he falls into these little spikes, losing his jaw, which isn't really an important detail, but it is a important detail for the casting of Frank Stone design, which later in the game, you then play as these group of kids who want to record a movie at this literal crime scene. And these characters, some of them, are bitches. They're like, "Oh, Sam's so mean." Sam's like, "Hey, yeah, no, I don't want you guys to record here because this is where actual crimes happen, and I feel like there's something bad happening here," which there was, which I'll go over shortly. But as this group of kids are trying to record their film, they like record normally. Sam jump scares them. They break their camera. They have to go to the store. This old lady, who later in the game we find out is Augustine, which was a really cool little thing that they did there. I really liked that. The time travel is really hard to do correctly, and I think that it was iffy in this game, in the storytelling of it, because it's a Dead by Daylight game, so having time travel and timelines exist it's always, like, iffy. But the old lady gives these guys a camera, which this camera is cursed and has Frank Stone within it. So the group of kids are using this camera, and as they're still trying to record for their film, they realize, something's up with the camera. They were sitting here recording, and this weird, monstrous thing was seen in the camera, but not seen in person. So, when that happened, the monster showed up, chased them a little bit, but you scroll the thingy and record him, and he gets sucked into the camera, and you stop him. I really liked that mechanic. It was really fun to play against him. It felt like an actual challenge, and I was kind of stressing every time I had to do that, because I was like, oh shit, someone could die here, which, yeah, someone could die. But we continued to go through with the recording, and he just kept showing up, so we all decided we gotta get the fuck out of here. But this was all happening at the same time as Linda, Maria, I don't remember the names, I'm so sorry, but Linda, and then I guess the main character, Marissa, I think it was Maria. You could correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I genuinely think, I'm gonna actually, hold on, I'm gonna look up the characters real quick. Okay. Yeah. There's Augustine, Frank Stone, Samuel Green, aka Sam, Thomas Jefferson Holt, aka Tom, Madison and Bonnie were voice acted by the same person. Linda, yeah, same deal. Bruno Stanford, aka Stan, we don't like him. Jaime Rivera, who is, yeah, this brother of Bonnie Rivera. Chris Gordon, I didn't really like her. Robert Green, Robert was alright. But while we're seeing the old version of Linda, Chris, and Jaime try to record this movie, you have the problem of present Linda, Madison, and Stan grouped up at this mansion where Augustine Lieber, I butcher these names so bad. Augustine Lieber is a, cultist member. She really adores the existence of the entity and wants to make the ultimate killer and wants to be the entity's second-hand man, kind of how, the Blight was before he got blighted, because I don't fucking remember. I don't know a lot about Dead by Daylight lore. You could correct me, but I think that's correct. You literally could correct me if I'm wrong. I probably am. But Augustine wanted to create Frank Stone as the ultimate monster the entity would deem as worthy. And that's what she did. In the present, 3 pieces of a tape that came from the original tape that trapped Frank Stone. There's a part in the past gameplay, in the past, where you play as Sam, and he's trying to save the kids. I accidentally, in my playthrough, got Jaime killed by trying to save him. He lost his jaw, unfortunately. But I know that you could save him, and Jaime could live. But, Sam shows up and traps Frank Stone in the camera, and then decides, hey, we need to separate these 3 pieces. So Linda, Sam, and Robert split up. And Stan, the character Stan, he's really bitchy. I don't think he was made to be liked, but I didn't like his character. And I think he was made to be hated, which, props, I guess. He was hated correctly. Apparently, he manipulated Robert into giving him his film piece. And Stan's like a huge stan of the whole Murder Mill thing. He's like, oh yeah, I loved this movie. Apparently it caused everyone in theaters to go absolutely fucking crazy and start killing each other and shit, which I guess is something that actually happened in the lore. I don't know. You can hear one point in a recording when you first arrive, the first showing of the movie and how the theater ends up going crazy and like people start fucking killing each other, police start shooting innocent people are killing each other. The movie was like cursed, so that's why it was removed from everywhere. It was kind of a basic horror movie plot with film directory and stuff like that, but it's fine. I think it was a good way of doing it. So Augustine wanted the 3 pieces of the tape to bring Frank Stone back. And he came back. There's a scene where all the characters are in this one room where each door shuts locked. And the the projector screen goes green. And Frank Stone comes out of it. And before that happens, I punched the shit out of Stan because I had an option to punch him. So as Sam, I punched Stan. He had a broken nose. He walked up to the screen. I kind of fucked up in this moment. In the first playthrough, I thought that spamming square was a good thing. But no, it was then a choice between Sam and Linda, which both characters I fucking adored. So I sadly got Sam killed in my gameplay, but I know that the ending, there's multiple endings. Maybe I'll do a stream on a second playthrough, something like that. I don't know. I'll find out. It's just one of those games where it's like Detroit Become Human. I already did that, so there's no point of going back and doing every single ending, you know? Because it takes a very long time to get to the ending. It's a 6-hour game, and I think my ending was the best I could have gotten, but not the best in general. So Sam got eaten by Frank Stone. Or Sam, not Stan. Did I say Sam? I think I said Sam. Whatever. Sam got eaten by Frank Stone, and sadly, unfortunately, when he did get eaten, he was a part of Frank Stone. And there's a part where Maddie gets fucking body slammed through a wall, and that shit was crazy. He just charged through the wall, slammed her, and then as Linda, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna save you. And then I save her, and then instead of getting on the elevator with her, for some reason we get chased by Frank Stone a little bit, but that was fine. It was whatever. There's a lot that I'm leaving out in this video. I'm just kind of explaining the main things that I remember and thought were cool. I will soon go over what I didn't like about the game, but I'm just kind of summing up the story, or at least the story I went through. There was a part where then Stan just got fucking killed anyway. He didn't live. Like, I think he was destined to die because he wasn't a playable character, which makes sense. I mean, everyone would hate Stan. Everyone did hate Stan, but Madison escaped, and then Maddie ran towards like had to run from Frank Stone again. There's a little QuickTime event, or no, there wasn't a QuickTime event. I think that QuickTime event was as Linda. Yeah, no, it was as Linda. Oops, sorry. Maddie runs down into the basement where there's this whole like time machine thing where Chris came out of. To explain that is that green portal effect happened earlier, and it dragged Chris through the green portal and brought her to the present time, which, of course, time travel and time manipulation or timeline stuff is confusing to fiddle with, but that's what the whole premise of this was. And Augustine was a good villain, a good antagonist. There was a part where Augustine and Maddie were talking in the bunker below, and Maddie was like, hey, yeah, what the hell are you doing? And then Augustine's like, I didn't lie to you. I could give you what you want. I could stop all these nightmares. I could stop all of this trauma. I could stop every single bit of it. And as Maddie, I basically went, fuck you! And yeah, she walked away, lived, and I was happy with that. So, then Augustine's like, Whatever. Goes outside to talk to the entity. The entity's in the sky. Kind of looks like the Mind Flayer in the scene. I won't lie. It did give huge Stranger Things vibes, but it was the entity, which really enjoyed seeing the entity like that. Because usually when we see the entity in Dead by Daylight, it's just like art of the little spikes, or like we never saw the entity's like power on screen once. This was like the first time I think we saw the entity's power happen live. You know, like directly in front of our eyes, we see it. I thought that was awesome to see the entity in the sky and how it takes over worlds and stuff, because then my little head was like, oh shit. So this is what happens to every other world when a new chapter gets added? You're telling me that fucking Leon Kennedy looked in the sky, saw this giant red shit, and was like, dragged here? Which I know that sometimes that's not the case because it's just black fog sucks him in and that's how it happens, but whatever. But no, it was just kind of like really cool to see the entity. So, as Augustine's like, I bring you the ultimate champion. Frank Stone's like, he looks over, he's like, man, this bitch ain't cool. I don't fuck with her. She manipulated me, and she made it so a lot of bad things happen to me. She's the reason I died. So then he walks over, fucking stabs her, like through the shoulder, kills her, or not in the shoulder, in the neck, fucking stabs her in the neck, lets her bleed. She falls to the ground. She's like, oh my god, oh my fucking god, I'm dying. I'm the antagonist and I'm dying by my own creation. Oh my god, the entity didn't want me. Oh, Frank Stone betrayed me. Oh, he's my creation and he betrayed me. Oh my god. She doesn't say all that. But no, she falls to the ground and dies. And then the entity's little spike. You know how when Endgame collapses and you have an entire... What's it called? You have an entire, like, timer. And then when the timer's over, if you don't escape, the spikes come out of the ground and stabs through you. That's what happened to Augustine. The spike stabbed through her, and she got absorbed into the little not red sparkles, the little orange flame sparkle stuff. That means you're dead and I'm part of the entity now. Augustine then dies. So she dies in that moment, you know. Later in the story, you play as Maddie again. Oh yeah, one little thing I forgot to add. When they're in the room where fucking blah 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 blah. When they're in the room where Frank Stone was on screen and he like comes through the screen to attack them or whatever. They were watching a film at first where Maddie has to watch her mom fucking die. That was really funny. I say funny, I don't mean like funny, I mean like that was like really unfortunate because her mom died 2 weeks before. So then she had to watch her mom die on fucking Live Leak pretty much. That shit was lined up to be Live Leak. What happens is Maddie's walking through the forest, and that's when we find out that Sam, Robert, and Linda, and I think Chris? No, I don't think Chris was there. They all decided, hey, this film can't be touched or seen anymore. I think we need to, like, restart. I think we need to, like, get rid of these pieces of the film and make sure that these are never found again. And that's what they try to do. They didn't really succeed, and the thing that made me a little upset was the fact that Linda, who agreed with Sam that those pieces shouldn't be found, for some reason went to Augustine to give Augustine the pieces of the film because she was offering a lot of money when Linda was already doing fine with money. And that's another thing. This is where we get into the segment of me talking about things I don't like about the game. So, one thing was, I didn't like the fact that there were moments where something didn't make sense to me. And I get that most of these were just little Easter eggs, but the generators. I didn't understand why there were generators in some areas when they were naturally placed there. I didn't understand how Augustine knew about the other Dead by Daylight killers, and there was a whole like hillbilly puzzle. I didn't understand that, and I don't think the game explained that, and if it did, I will educate myself next time before I talk about a game ever again. But the thing that made me the most upset was the QuickTime events were just press an X. Which, yeah. I guess I didn't really need to have a lot of QuickTime events. Or, like, the QuickTime events didn't need to be exactly like Dead by Daylight. I just think that the game had a lot of, like, issues with, telling the story of Dead by Daylight. And I'm kind of like at the part where I don't know how to put this stuff into words. But the game was good. I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the story. I just had a hard time understanding the whole... Like, okay. I know... I know that I'm not a good criticizer, or I'm not really good at criticizing, but the game was fun to play. It was a fun, interesting little story. I like Until Dawn styled games where a choice will impact the entire story, or if a character dies, that character's dead. I like stuff like that because it's fun, it's silly, it's goofy. It's like, oh, I fucking hate this character, I could get him killed. But my biggest issue was the timeline thing. The thing that didn't make sense to me is if Augustine had so many timelines and access to time travel and stuff, why didn't she just go back in time to create the Frank Stone monster earlier, or like steal the recordings in the movie off of the kids, or the group of kids or teenagers that were recording the film. I think that there was a lot of things that could have been done, and I think that still the game was good. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying there was a lot of issues that I had with it. I just didn't know what to really make of the timeline stuff. Of course, you know, multiverse is a huge thing with a lot of games. With Fortnite, and even movies right now. Fortnite, Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight itself, I get that it's a whole multiverse thing, but when we're talking about the center of a one world thing, my question is, I'm really interested in the character of Augustine. So I just want to know how Augustine had access to knowledge of the entity's existence without ever seeing the entity, or without ever knowing anything of the entity, or if this world is the world where most of Dead by Daylight's original killers come from. And if that's the case, I guess that would make sense on how Augustine knew a little bit about the entity, but it wouldn't make sense as to how Augustine knew the full power, the full potential, the full everything with the entity. I wish it was a little more explained on how she knew about the entity, rather than, oh, I'm the divine follower of the entity. The entity is my lord. The entity is my savior. The entity is my all. It's my all being. It's my all being. It's perfect. Like, without the entity, I am nothing. I will make my sworn goal to make a perfect champion for the entity. I never understood that. Because throughout the entire game, we're playing as a group of regular people. Regular people with a regular serial killer. Not like most of Dead by Daylight's killers. They aren't regular killers, but it's like the thing that never made sense to me with the Castle and Frankstone was the timeline stuff. I get that they had a whole machine that she built, where it's like that machine was supposed to be how she did what she did, like the whole time travel thing, but I didn't understand how it worked or how she knew of the entity. If that does get explained in the game, please link me a video in the comments of the scene that explains that, and this statement will get retracted. But I just don't think it was ever explained how she knew of the entity's existence, let alone the entity. Or why she wanted Frank Stone, or specifically, like, any of that stuff. The little things. I wish they also showed us Stan stealing the piece from Robert, rather than just being like, you don't know what this fucking guy did. He manipulated my son while he was in the worst state of mind. I wish we saw that, because I think it would have made us hate him more, or at least when they were explaining it, I wish they explained it better. They should have gave us more Robert scenes, is what I personally think. I think it would have been cooler to see Robert, like, just in general, more Robert. I think Jaime and Robert were two characters that I really liked, even though they didn't get along well. There were some scenes that I was like, oh, this character did something stupid, but Jaime was so fucking smart. And I feel bad that Jaime was dating a piece of shit like Chris. And that's another thing. Chris's character, I didn't like. Because we're on the segment of the video where we're reaching the end, so I'm talked about things I like, I try to explain the story, blah, blah, blah. This is the part where I explain characters. This is the part, it's a yap video, it's whatever, you know, it's like, whatever I talk about, I just talk about. Chris's character was just a piece of shit from the beginning. Oh, why do you sound like this? Oh, because he cares about you and he's trying to protect you. I understand that she's a kid, but she was so insensitive and just didn't care that she wanted to film and exploit actual victims of a murder. Like, throughout the game, not throughout the game, but there was a good majority of scenes where she was just like, oh yeah, oh fuck yeah, real people died here. Real fucking people died here. Let's fucking go. We need to record here. We need to record here. Because real people died here. That will make this movie 20 times better. I get that, you know, that mindset is like, she was made to be like a character that, I don't know if she was made to be that way. I just didn't like her character. Because I just also didn't like how close she was to fucking Robert while dating Jaime. I mean, yeah, no, I knew that they didn't have anything, but like, oh my god, dude, I felt so bad for Jaime. But then again, I also was like, relationship drama isn't what I really need in a horror game. I think what we needed was more, like, more action. Don't get me wrong, game play was fun. The story was interesting but confusing. The plot line of Augustine didn't make sense to me. I did like the visuals, I did like the graphics, I did like this, I did like a good majority, if not all of the game. There was a lot that I didn't like, but it wasn't like big things. There was just a lot of confusion, and it was like, that's how it's made. I'm made to not like this character or this choice or this design or this or that. Like, I'm not saying the game was horrible. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, don't give it a try. I know that I spoiled a good majority of it, but if you already played the game, you can kind of understand a little bit of what I'm saying. But there was a huge part of the game that I liked the most, and that was the little callbacks to Dead by Daylight and its realm. I liked that, but I didn't at the same time. Sometimes it felt overly used. And when I say that, I mean Hillbilly reference being an entire puzzle that impacted the storyline was an iffy choice, in my opinion. I just would like to know how Augustine has all the knowledge on all these killers, such as the Huntress, such as literally all of these fucking killers that she had stuff of. Like the Huntress mask that was in that one basement, I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. I didn't know why that was the case. I just, at the time, I wasn't really thinking of it. I was just like, oh yeah, Dead by Daylight reference in a Dead by Daylight made game. That makes sense. But story-wise, I would like it to be explained. Again, retract this statement and retract all my other statements if this is explained. But I didn't recall how she knew. I don't recall them explaining what caused her to know of the entity, stuff like that. And it's just small little nitpicks, but the game was enjoyable. I had a lot of fun playing it. I really enjoyed the story. I think that it's a good game. I think that they should, if they want to make more games like this, they should do it. I think Dead by Daylight having story games like that is really smart. Do I think that they should add the killers in these story games to Dead by Daylight? No. In my opinion, I think Frank Stone should be just Frank Stone. Like, sure, you hear the match start sound effect at the end of the game where he does his roar and you're all at the campfire, which I like that little callback. But I don't think Frank Stone should be a killer in Dead by Daylight. I think what we have and what they have lined up and all that is good. My final rating of the game is that it's a good, I would say a good 7.5 out of 10. There was flaws in it, but, you know, for the first story game, that makes sense. Have a good one. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed.